If some people get their way, you and I will be paying for the transportation costs for the people who live in the city of Atlanta. Is this right? I was reading in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution on February 3rd an article, High-Speed Rail Lines Bypass Georgia. And the individual who wrote the article is a director of the Atlanta Regional Commission, so he has a personal stake in all of this. And this is one of the things that has bothered me about public transportation is, and he uses the example of Charlotte, North Carolina. It says North Carolina's recent investment in rail, more than $300 million since 1992, led to its recent grant of $545 million from the Obama administration's $8 billion rail stimulus. $8 billion for rail stimulus. I doubt if I will ever get on public transportation in North Carolina. And yet some of my money and some of your money is going to be used in order to help North Carolina. Where did that money come from? Well, if it was manufactured out of thin air, which a lot of money is, we're paying for it in terms of inflation. Your money is going to be worth less. If it's from tax dollars, someone has taken tax dollars from you and has given it to the state of North Carolina, taken it from your state, given it to the state of North Carolina, so the state of North Carolina can open up a rail system that you and I will probably never be on. Is that right? Is that fair? Same thing is happening here in the Atlanta area. This individual wants the Atlanta area to have a great rail system. I never go into Atlanta on any rail system. Cobb County has its own bus system, but no, it's not with taxpayer money. Let's assume I go into the city of Atlanta once on rail, which I wouldn't do. So I should be paying my taxes year after year after year after year for other people to ride public transportation that I have to pay for. And one of the interesting proposals is here, he says, a new 1-cent sales tax would cost each resident approximately $215 a year or $17.92 per month. For what? I'll never use the system. So every year I'm going to be charged $215, which means my wife is going to be charged $215. So we end up with $430 a year to pay for public transportation in Atlanta that I'll never use. This is just typical of government. Oh, it's only a percent. You know, it's not a big deal. Well, these percents start to add up into billions and billions of dollars. If the city of Atlanta wants to have a rail system, then let the city of Atlanta pay for it. And those people outside the city who want to use it pay for it with fares. If you can't make it work, if it's not profitable, then it's not worth doing. If private enterprise thinks it's a profitable deal, then let them put the money into it. If North Carolina believes that rail traffic is the way to go, then let private investors get involved in it. Warren Buffett, I think he purchased some railroads. Obviously, he thinks he can make money doing that. Why is it that we're constantly being told that we have to put our money into all this sort of thing? And one other issue related to all this, Atlanta has, and your city may have them too, HOV lanes. HOV is high occupancy vehicles. Now, high occupancy vehicles is simply two people in a car, and it's designed in order to speed up traffic in the morning for carpooling. I suspect that very few people are actually carpooling when they use the HOV lane. If a mother is taking her children to school, to say private school or even a public school in her automobile, she gets to use the HOV lane. That's not carpooling. If you're going on vacation and there are 3 or 4 of you on a car, you can use the HOV lane. If you have a baby in the car, it's supposedly high occupancy vehicle because there are 2 people in the car, you get to use the HOV lane. But I don't get to use the HOV lane if I'm going down, traveling through Atlanta. The reason is because I'm the only person in the car. And yet I'm paying for that extra lane. Again, these government solutions to the problems rarely are solutions. They are simply a thing to say to people that we are trying to fix the traffic problems here in the Atlanta area. If you open up the HOV lane, it would give another lane and for everybody to do, and therefore it would cut traffic by possibly 25% or 20% because of the additional lanes. The road systems in America today have been, at least in the past, paid for by the fuel tax. If you drive a car and you buy gasoline, you're going to pay a fuel tax. You're going to pay then for the roads. There's been a federal fuel tax and there has been a state fuel tax. In some counties, the fuel tax is a little higher in various counties, and those taxes are used for roads. If you drive a car, you pay the tax. The more you drive the car, the more you pay the tax. Very, very legitimate way of raising revenue. If I go and I drive in North Carolina, I'm going to end up paying taxes in North Carolina. This is extremely fair in our system. It's unfortunate, however, that what's happened in our government today is that politicians end up taking that money and using it for the general fund and don't use it for the actual road taxes. So this stuff has just gotten to be crazy nonsense. If you want public transportation, pay for it. The people in Atlanta who want public transportation should pay for it themselves. Those people who work come outside, they can maybe pay a higher price for it. Anybody who uses it, raise the rates in order to pay to compensate for the costs. You may not need a car living in the city. This is true in New York City. People are probably saving $5,000 or $6,000, maybe even $8,000 a year not owning an automobile. They're saving also on wear and tear and repairs. They're also saving on automobile insurance. Now, those people, they want to have a public transportation, that's fine. They would end up paying more for it. Would they end up paying $8,000 a year? Probably not for it all. So if you want to do a public transportation system, do it on your own time, do it on your own money. Don't take money from me in another state to pay for it. Don't take money from me who lives in another city to pay for it either. This is something that we as Christians have to understand as well here. If you're taking money from one state and giving it to another state, that is theft. That is unconstitutional, and your congressmen and your senators are violating the Constitution. That is not a general welfare proposition. It is particular welfare. It's welfare given to only one city over another city. You think the people in Idaho or people in South Dakota or North Dakota should be taxed for transportation costs here in the Atlanta area or in North Carolina? I don't think so, and I believe if they got to vote on it, they wouldn't see it that way either. So when you hear people talking about high-speed rail and so forth and so on, someone is going to pay for it, and it's not always the people who are using it. It's usually the people who aren't using it in order to benefit a particular city.
For more related to today's topic, check out How to Argue with a Liberal and Win, edited by Joel McDermott. You will find it at AmericanVision.com.